This summer, after my third year of architecture school, I almost dropped out. I was really sick of having all the teachers and everyone in my school tell us that my classmates and I were improving the world with design when the only things we ever designed were skyscrapers or office buildings or fancy single-family homes. So after a couple weeks of being home from summer break, I went out looking for a project that would make a positive impact in the world. And what I found was a secondary school in Cameroon with no classrooms that was desperately seeking help. And I thought to myself, this is awesome. This is a project I've been looking for in school, but I haven't been able to find. 9 months after that, I was boarding a plane bound for Cameroon. My family was less than thrilled, but I knew that I needed to go there to get firsthand knowledge in order to be able to design something that worked with the climate, the culture, and the community's needs. Once I was there, I met Betsy, an 8th grade student at St. Andrews. Her and her classmates taught me about the joy in life, as well as the challenges they faced in trying to receive an education. At this point, the school had erected a series of government-designed classrooms. My research quickly turned into why these classrooms were detrimental to a child's ability to learn. What I found was that these structures were causing Betsy and her classmates to miss out on valuable class time. These structures were, when exterior temperatures reached 45 degrees Celsius, which they routinely do during the months of March and April, the interior classroom temperatures soared up to 50 degrees Celsius. At these temperatures, Betsy and her classmates were unable to focus and absorb the information being taught to them. As a result, many students opted to leave early on those days or just didn't bother to go to school at all when they knew that it was going to be hot outside. Besides these pressing issues, the structures also didn't take advantage of local materials, passive cooling, exterior space, or erosion. After finding out all this information, I returned home and spent the next 6 months designing a classroom structure that addressed these pressing problems. The new classroom design created a conducive learning environment by addressing thermal comfort and passive cooling, using local sustainable materials, being cost-effective, easily replicated, and taking advantage of creating exterior gathering spaces which minimize erosion and encourage the cultural norm of spending time outdoors. So I have a small prop here that I can pass around, and it shows some of the, it's very simplified, but their openings, some are operable and some are not in the design, and it shows how passive cooling can take place in the classroom. So after graduating from architecture school with this project as my thesis, I decided to make this a global initiative, and I founded Design Cause. Design Cause focuses on creating this classroom model, first of all, and spreading awareness about the impact infrastructure has on education. There's a reason why educational institutions around the world spend billions of dollars, euros, pounds, krones, and francs on their facilities every year. It's because the learning environment matters, and that's been scientifically proven. So Design Cause's immediate goal is to build our first classroom. And we hope that this classroom will become a new standard of classroom across northern Cameroon. We believe that the learning and creating a conducive learning environment positively impacts education. And we hope to be able to take these same simple design principles and apply them to other schools in other needy areas around the world. So I know my presentation is a little bit short, but I assume there'll be quite a few questions, so I'm happy to answer them now.
I would have many questions. No, the concept is very interesting. So, do you have?
I would have many questions now. Yeah, so do you have the cost of the prototype, a specific cost? And then when you're talking with people in Cameroon, are you talking with ministries? Are you talking with private companies? Are you talking with the government? And do you have already some sponsors here?
Yes. So the cost of one classroom structure, including the overhead, it's in US dollars since it's based in the States, is $22,000. At this point, I have nonprofit status for this organization, so at this point I've raised $17,000, so I'm very close to being able to complete the first project. One of the main reasons for going to Cameroon, obviously, was to do research on the climate and culture, and also to get firsthand knowledge from the students at the school, the administrators at the school, the local government, to figure out what the building standards were, any requirements of that nature, and to make sure that they owned the land, what the actual available materials in the area were. So a lot of those things have been smoothed out, and in order to be able to legally build the structures, I'm also partnering with a registered architect in Cameroon. So we've been working together, and the drawings comply with Cameroon's building practices. So most of the administrative things have been smoothed out, except for unknown things that will pop up when I go there to construct. Yes.
How scalable is your model? It's very impactful. It's clear. Sorry. How are you going to scale this model? Is it, or you have to replicate it maybe from different countries, and that's going to be maybe very difficult for you to do. But do you have plans and how to do that?
So design is specific to cultures and climates, but this specific ecological zone that it's in, it's where the dry Sahara and the Sahel meet. And this area of Africa stretches across the continent, and it's one of the areas of the highest illiteracy rates in the world. So my design is able to be replicated in this ecological zone because of the way that it addresses the climate. In order for it to be replicated in different areas of the world, there would have to be some modifications done. This is specifically tailored for this ecological zone, and it's my personal belief as a designer that having a universal design model is not appropriate. So this is specifically tailored for this ecological zone, but I think that there's an opportunity to make small changes to it that would make it appropriate for other climates and cultures.
Thank you. One short question. What makes your design special? I mean, why this school class is different from others?
So, well, I can pass this over to you.
So it's the opening in the
there's
roof.
Actually some very small, simple changes. So the two-roof structure is the main innovation. There's vents in the roof that are open all the time. They allow hot air to pass through even when there isn't a passing breeze. And because they're shaded by an overarching roof, they're still protected from rain. So that is something that, although it might not seem very innovative to us here, there's nothing like that in the area. Another thing that you can't tell from the model, the materials being used. So I'm using soil stabilized block for the main wall construction, which has been used in various projects, around Africa and in South America, but it's proven to be very durable, uses local materials, mainly the dirt from the site, and it has very good thermal properties. So, it's sort of a combination of sticking with what the community is comfortable with, what they can replicate, and mixing in a little bit more of, innovative things that will help, air circulation and use of materials. Another thing is the window openings are very large because they stack windows on top of each other so that they can be opened fully to allow breeze through the entire wall, which seems very simple, but it's not something that they're doing right now. So it's subtle changes that make a big impact.
Thank you.
Yes. Or
I'm actually going to hold on to the microphone since it's coming my way. I have a very short question. Maybe you already mentioned that, but what's the estimated temperature at the hottest peak season with your new model?
of the interior temperature?
Yeah.
So because of the various passive cooling things, instead of having the temperature go up by 5 degrees Celsius, it will drop by 5 degrees Celsius. So, you know, the hottest days of the year around 45 degrees Celsius, and then inside they'll be around 40 degrees Celsius.
I think it's really needed. It's fantastic, but I'm not really sure which way you want to go, because in one sense I get the idea that you want to open up the idea for greening and making more sustainable and more sort of climate specific architecture, which is a different thing. It's about advocacy and working with architectural schools around the world, as opposed to having one model for something. So I'm just a little bit confused about where you see your future direction.
So the goal really is to create models that can be replicated by the communities in the specific regions. So there is a hope that there's sort of two hopes. Maybe this is why you're confused. So the hope is that this model will be adopted in the area that it is meant for. And then we can also work on developing changes to it that make it appropriate for other areas so that the same thing can happen. So the hope is that we can create something that can be essentially given to the regions to help them, and then they can do the work from there. Because I don't believe that giving people something that they can't replicate is very useful, especially in an education sense when we want to be encouraging and spreading education.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's really beautiful, but my question would be, do you have other regions in the world that, have the similar situation, but where you could enter the market quicker and sell quicker, just to make your business sustainable early, and then, maybe go into regions where you can do some more philanthropic work?
So a quick response to that is I started this organization in January, and within 3 months I had 3 organizations approach me to do designs for their schools. In Uganda, I had 2 in Uganda, and I had 1 in Kenya. So I think that there is a really pressing need for this because people are focused on the programs of school, and a lot of times the infrastructure is overlooked. And then after the school begins, they realize, oh, there's no windows in this classroom, or so I think that I think there's just unlimited opportunity essentially for projects like this to come up and to be worked on. I know that there was one question over there. He had his hand raised for a little while.
No, it's just how do you go from a non-profit model? Is that the only solution for you? Sorry. Is being a non-profit model the only solution for you, or you can see this your design costs evolving and becoming a for-profit company?
I think I would prefer it to stay nonprofit. The business model right now is really just to get the first project underway. After that, I would like it to switch to a fee for service, where I'm working with other organizations and they're paying for the design services. But I would like it to remain nonprofit, so that we can continue to solicit donations at the same time. So there's multiple possible streams of income.
Okay, well, thanks again very much for the presentation. That was the 15 minutes. So perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect timing.